welcome everybody. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you everybody for joining. So again, my name is Roman Jacquez. I am a Flutter GDE Google Developer Expert. I am also a Google Cloud Certified Architect. And also, just like you guys in this GDG community, I also have my own GDG community in Lawrence, Massachusetts. I am also a mentor for the Northeast in the United States, and I am very pleased to be here sharing my experiences as a Flutter developer, as a Google Cloud architect, and how we develop the Flutter application for the GDG Lawrence community. So I'm very excited to be here and share with you that information. You can also follow me on Twitter by just scanning the QR code on the screen at drcoders. That is my handle, and then you can keep tabs on me. You can see all the other events that I've been holding regarding Flutter and the Google Cloud. So I truly appreciate you guys following me and staying in touch with me. Thank you so much. So let's proceed. So a little bit about GDG Lawrence. So GDG Lawrence, we are also a very close-knit community from Lawrence, Massachusetts. We are very proud of its diversity. We're very community-centric, just like you guys. We like to involve our community in all of these events and give our community the best experience ever. So I made this into a case study because what we wanted to do in this particular case was develop an application, not only to put in practice our knowledge in Flutter in the cloud, but also because we wanted to serve our community better. So if you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, I am projecting my Android device, and I am going to launch the GDG Lawrence application, which is already available in the Google Play. You guys can feel free to download it. It's completely free and is developed in Flutter and backed by the Google Cloud. So you see, I am not only presenting something, I'm actually showing something that you guys can use. So I can speak of the things that I actually do. So let me just talk to you about how we developed it and why we developed it. So our members in GDG Lawrence needed alternative ways and convenient ways to find us. Not only through Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or even LinkedIn, they could find us. We wanted to create a better way, a direct way for them to reach out to us. Also about information about upcoming events. Like we want, just like this event, the event that you guys are holding, we wanted to let our users know about the upcoming events so that they can stay abreast of what's going on and they can join our events, learn, get swag, have fun, just like you guys are doing today. They wanted to get to know us, just like Fawad, just like Muhammad Anwar. You guys are the leads of this event. You guys are the hosts. They wanted to get to know us as well. They wanted to know who's holding the events, who's providing all of that, and they wanted to get to know us in a personal level. So we wanted to provide that way for them to get to know us. Also, all the things, the same thing that these folks are providing to you guys, the attendees, resources, code labs, like certification information, tutorials, all that stuff, all those valuable resources that the community benefits from, we wanted to provide that to our community as well. So we wanted to find a way for them to access that information right away in one single place. Also a way to contact us anywhere. Just like GDG Live Pakistan has a bunch of social media handles and a lot of places where you can reach out to them, we wanted the people, our community, to reach out to us through all the social media channels. Not where we were, but where you are. So we wanted to be where you were so you could find us easily, and then that way you can get in touch with us. Also a way to contact us directly. What if people don't have like social media or they are not very heavy in that? They can contact us directly via a direct message. So we wanted to provide a capability for our community members to reach out to us in a very direct way. Also, a way to keep our members updated and engaged with non-intrusive notifications so that they can stay up to date on what's going on, not only in the industry, but also in our community. What are the latest events? What is the latest resource that we've put out there, the recent podcast or something like that? And get the inside scoop on their interest What if they're not the type that like to read or something like that? Maybe they're on the go and they want to listen in their car, or they want to listen in a more convenient way. We wanted to provide those same resources in ways that our community can consume easy for them, so that it makes it convenient to them. And last but not least, make them feel safe as part of the community. Whenever they authenticated with the application and they reach out to us and they wanted to be part of our events, we wanted to make them feel safe and welcome, that the information that they're sharing with us is secure, is if we're not tampering with it, and we're making great use of that information so that they can trust us. And that's it. Literally, the reason why we did it like that also is because we wanted to leverage the core competencies of each team member. We have a very diverse team, and everyone has a different type of knowledge. Like some people know C#, other people know Node.js, other people know Python. I myself know Flutter and Firebase. We actually wanted to welcome everybody instead of isolating them. Like, oh, you don't know Flutter or you don't know Firebase, so you can't be part of this project. On the contrary, we wanted to welcome everybody, and the cloud facilitated that to us. We can bring people from with different types of knowledge, different programming languages, and they all felt part of a contributing member of this application. So the cloud allowed us to do that. So why the Google Cloud? Why did we pick the Google Cloud? One, we are a community. We are not a company. We don't make money out of this. That's why we needed to take into consideration that cost was either non-existent or very low. Also, speed. We wanted to get to our community as fast as possible. We didn't want to spend time iterating, building an application that took us a long time. We wanted to get to our users fast. Also, as far as speed is also fast to get to them, like so that they can consume the information very fast. Also, ease of use. We wanted the team members in GDG Lawrence to feel comfortable using the technology without spending months trying to learn something, managing a bunch of things, and very difficult. We wanted to make it very easy for them to adopt the cloud and contribute to the cost of building this application together. And why serverless? This is very important. I want you to pay attention. So why us as a community, we wanted to go serverless? One, we wanted something fully managed. We are a community. We want to emphasize on our people. We want to provide the best experience. I don't want to be managing servers. I want to be helping you guys, giving you swag, giving you the best experience, as opposed to me managing a server, installing patches, downloading stuff. I wanted to provide the best experience. Minimum maintenance and minimum management. I don't want to be behind a computer just managing a bunch of things. I wanted to provide the best experience, talking to you guys, engaging, helping you develop applications, helping you with your issues in a more direct way, as opposed to me spending time managing servers, installing software, and managing keeping track of all those things. Security by default. We wanted something so that we don't have to pay for to make it very secure. We wanted our users to feel safe when they exchange information with us via HTTP or SSL. Make it very secure for them. Performance in the cloud is very performant. Why? Because we wanted to make it so that if multiple users access our application, the application performs better. It never goes down, and it's always very performant, very fast, to deliver the best experience to our users. Scalability. What if our application becomes really viral and we only have, let's say, 100 users? We didn't want to scale up and down or left and right, install new servers, deploy new containers. We wanted a solution that scales up or down depending on the traffic. If we have 100 users, or later we have 1,000 users, we don't have to do any changes. So going to the cloud, because of the auto scalability that it has, it was a great benefit for us. And last but not least, availability. I didn't want to get a call at 3 a.m. in the morning because the server went down or because my application crashed for some reason. I wanted this to be available all the time. not only for our local members, but how about our remote members like you guys, all the way from Pakistan? You want to access this application. I don't have to have it running on my living room, just for my local members. I wanted to have it available for everybody. So that is the reason why we wanted to go with the cloud. So in a nutshell, GDG Lawrence loves the cloud. And I hope you do too once you see how we develop the application. The first thing, what did we use as the front end? Flutter. Flutter is Google's UI toolkit, open source UI toolkit for building natively compiled UI experiences with one single code base. You can just develop it in Dart using the Flutter framework, and you can deploy it to multiple platforms. At the beginning, we wanted to serve our Android users, but very soon we'll be deploying it to iOS and for the web without making any changes. Just the same code base, one single code base, we will be able to deploy to all of those platforms. Also, we didn't, in our community, we have multiple members, but we didn't want to have like 3 code bases. We didn't have to have 3 people doing the same application. Instead, multiple people work on the same application. That way we all collaborate and we make it faster. So that's the reason why we also went with Flutter. And of course, because I love Flutter and I am a Google GDE, so we wanted to take advantage of that knowledge as well. So what did we use in the backend? So we used a bunch of things, and I'm going to show it to you in a minute once I connect to the console. So we use Firebase Cloud Firestore to do the chat, to store the real-time communication, all the chat messages. Also to use it as a repository, kind of like as a NoSQL database for our resources, the contact information and whatnot. So Firebase Cloud Firestore is a NoSQL document and collection database for you to store and sync your data. It has real-time capabilities, offline capabilities, multi-regional support, and it's very easy to use because it's very flexible. We also wanted to add Firebase Authentication because we wanted to authenticate our users in our application, make them feel safe. Right now, we're only authenticating using a Gmail account, but with Firebase Authentication, which is free, you can authenticate with third-party providers like Facebook, Twitter, GitHub, Microsoft, Apple, anything, and you don't have to pay anything. So that is exactly why, again, we adopted the cloud, because we are a community. We depend on the funds that Google gives us and the community, but we want to have something free if we could. Cloud Functions. So we also wanted to use Cloud Functions for the RESTful API for the mobile application, also to access external APIs, and also to trigger events and react to triggers. So Cloud Functions are very discrete, small functions that you don't have to manage any servers, and you can just deploy them. They're always available. They scale up and down, and they're very easy to use. And you don't have to manage any servers. Just worry about your code. Cloud storage, we wanted to use cloud storage because that is the crown jewels of Google Cloud, where you can store blobs of information. We wanted to store our podcasts, all my recordings in there. Also, in the future, we will be, in the next iteration of the application, we will be storing user images and user voice messages. We also wanted to use Firebase Cloud Messaging, which is free also. This is something that we can use to send asynchronous notifications, push notifications to our users, and also trigger cloud functions. It's kind of like a pub/sub messaging queue, so to speak, if you're not familiar with cloud messaging. And last but not least, we wanted to execute things on a time base, like on a cron job. So we use Cloud Scheduler for that. Like all of these offerings that I'm showing you here, we are not paying because we are under the free tier. So you can also adopt all these elements of the Google Cloud without paying if you don't exceed certain quotas. And then you can remain still within the free quotas, and you can build very robust applications. Yes, if your application goes viral or you do have like a lot of volume, yes, you may have to pay, but it would be also very like a minimal amount. So now let's continue. So how did we architect it? So this is the way we architected. You can see this architectural diagram and you may understand it right away. So starting from the left, our mobile application allows our users to log in using Firebase Authentication, using their Gmail account. Once we get their credentials, we can immediately store the device token that the user used to register, like with that device. That device token then is stored in Firebase Cloud Firestore with their user ID associated. Now, with the application and the user already authenticated, we can make calls into Google Cloud Functions so that you can get all the events information, team information, resources information, contacts, and all the podcasts. In the Google Cloud Storage is where I store all the podcasts, and then you can like listen to them. And then also whenever anything happens in one of these repositories, like whenever we add a new event, add a new team member, we add a new resource, a cloud function is listening on that trigger in the Firebase Cloud Firestore, and it sends a notification to that device. So you see, it's all very organized, it's very cohesive, and all of these things that I'm showing you right now are free. We are not exceeding the free quota. You can pay, or you could pay if, let's say, if you exceed the volume of traffic that you're using. But for our needs, because we're a small community, we're lucky to still be on the free tier, and we are leveraging all of these great features of the Google Cloud. So how do we process the podcasts? Like I told you, I use my phone, and then I record something cool. Let's say Flutter 2.10 Windows support is already out, and then I record a small message. I upload it to Google Cloud Storage, and then I, for example, like here, like I create the podcast, I upload it to Google Cloud Storage, and there is a cloud pops up listening to that upload being made. Then a cloud function in Python processes the audio, extracts all the metadata, and then once it extracts all the metadata, it goes over to Firebase Cloud Firestore and stores that information. Let me show you how I do it. I am here in the Google Cloud Platform. This is the console of the Google Cloud Platform. And here I've pinned the 5 services that I'm using under the Google Cloud, starting with Cloud Functions, Cloud Scheduler, Firestore, Google Cloud Storage, and Login, because I want to check out what things are going on in the server. So this is where I store all the podcasts in the cloud storage. So if you don't exceed the amount of storage that you get as a limit, then you're good with cloud storage and you don't have to pay. But once you exceed that limit, I believe it's like 1 gigabyte as a maximum, then from there you pay like, you pay a minimal amount. But for example, here you can see that in this folder called podcasts, I am storing all the MP3s for all my podcasts. If you see on the right-hand side, I'm going to show you how the podcasts are. If I tap on podcasts, it's actually pulling from a Google Cloud function, and it's pulling all of those episodes that I've recorded. So it's very cool. I can keep them in a cloud storage, and I can pull them using a Google Cloud function. Now, how do I do also, for example, like this cloud function that pulls information? Let me show you. So if you go to Google Cloud Functions, and then you will see all these functions. The one that pulls the podcasts is this one right here. So I'll click on the podcasts, and then you will see that it's very simple. Like if I look at the source, it's look how little bit of code just for me to pull the podcast information, and then just extract the information and show it to the user and expose it as a JSON object. It's very simple. You see, I'm connecting to Firestore. I am querying the collection on the Firestore, and I order that collection by the date in which I push my podcast. Then I just return it to the user. Now, every time I add something to the podcast, I have a special function that is listening for that. It's called the podcast notification trigger. Let me show you how simple it is. Whenever I add a podcast, whenever a podcast gets added to Google Cloud Firestore, then there is a Cloud Firestore trigger. This cloud function is listening to everything that I insert into the database, and just this little bit of code, just that little bit of coding there, reads the information and sends a push notification to all the users. Whenever you guys all, let's say if you download the application and you register, next time I upload a podcast, just because of that little function right there, is going to send a notification and you're going to receive it. Because I am importing, of course, the admin, Firebase admin, I am using the admin messaging package, and then I am just calling the method send to device. So remember, whenever you sign in and then I get you authenticated, from that device, I send the device token. With that device token associated with your user ID is how you can send notifications. I'll show you now also how that happens. Also, how we pull events and team information. Well, also, some of you guys use like Google Meet. We use a Bevy. Bevy is the platform where we publish all our events. For example, if I go to my page, like our community page, you also have a Bevy available. If you see my upcoming events, these are the events that are in the community. Also, you will get all the past events. Well, what we created was a Python scraper as a Google Cloud function that goes to our Bevy page, scrapes all the information that is as part of our events, and then we can display it to the user. Let me show you. Look at the application on the right-hand side, and then when I go to the events, you will see that this is the upcoming event. And then when you see past events, you will see all the past events right here. And you can just scroll up and down. So it's so simple. It's so simple. Let me show you how we did it. There is a cloud function that is called events. That events function is done in Python. You saw me showing you JavaScript before, but cloud functions, you can do JavaScript, you can do Python, Dart, C#, Go, a bunch of languages. So we use the language that better suited this to extract that capability. So we use a package called Beautiful Soup that scrapes our community page, pulls the information about the events. As you can see, we just build it as a JSON dictionary. We pulled all the information that we care about, and then we send it to the user through this the cloud function, kind of like an API gateway. So we process Bevy and we send it to our users. Very cool, very easy, a little bit of code. Let's continue. So how do we pull the resources, contacts, and podcasts? Well, we use Firebase Cloud Firestore. Some of you could use Firebase Cloud Firestore directly, but you also can use it as a NoSQL database, almost like you use like MongoDB. So let me show you how we did it. So we used Firebase. If we go here and you go to Firestore, all our information is stored in Firestore as collections. For example, look at the context information. They're very simple collections and documents stored in the Google Cloud. We haven't exceeded the free quota. If you exceed 1 gigabyte, then you paid 18 cents, I think, for the next additional gigabyte. But if you don't exceed it, you're still on the free tier. You don't have to pay anything. So now check this out. All this information is stored here. The contacts, the resources. For example, you can take a look at all the resources. Then we have a Google Cloud function that just pulls the information as if Firestore was just any other database. If I go here, for example, to let's say the contacts, this is just a cloud function with a very little bit of code. Look at the code. Look how much code. With this amount of code, I am able to connect to the Firestore collection. I pull the contacts information as a snapshot, and I just return it as a JSON. Simple as that. Look at the application on the right-hand side, and look how we pull, for example, the team information. And in this case, this is the contact information. I'm gonna click on the contact. If I just click here on contact, that is exactly the same information that we're pulling from there. So you see, it's very easy, very simple, straightforward, and you're still on the free tier, and you can leverage all this information. How do we process chat messages and content? In this case, yes, I am using Firestore directly because I wanted to do the real-time capabilities of Flutter and Firebase. So I'm going to log in and I'm going to go to the chat, and then here, for example, I'm going to show you how it works. For example, if I go to my Google Cloud function, actually I go to the Firestore, and for example, I go to the chat. Look at the message. Look at this who's typing field. Look at when I type in here and I say hello. Look at the message already showing up. Hello. And if I expand it, you will see that my name is there. Hello, Pakistan, for example. And then if I hit send, you will see that the message got sent, that the message disappeared, and that who's typing was actually showing the correct name. That who's typing right there is just a field that in real time I updated whenever I send like a message information. So that's what I love about that. So the real-time capabilities of Firestore, you can also leverage it also from here from the Google Cloud. We also do notification of messages. So you can even engage your users a lot more. So the notification, the push notification happens because you have to have your device, your user associated with that device, for example, your user and that device, so that way I can send the message directly to that device, that you use the device token. And this is how it works. So from the application, you authenticate with Firebase Authentication. Then once you authenticate, I send the device token to Firebase Cloud Firestore. Then with that device token, any chat messages you send, any information that you receive, there's a Google Cloud function listening to all that information so that it can send it to you via Firebase Cloud messaging. Let me show you how that works. So look at this. So in the users, there is a users collection. All the users that have registered have a device token, but the document is their user ID, the one that they use to authenticate. So that is how I pair up your user authentication with your device token. That way I can send you a message directly to you. So you use the device token. Now, whenever there is a notification, let me show you how that works. So you go, there is a cloud function that is listening to those changes. For example, the notifications. And then the notifications is just, I'm pulling all the information, anything that happens in Firebase, I capture it, I make it into a notification, and then I save it into another collection. It's very simple code. I just read the notifications. Anything that happens in Firebase gets posted and then it gets notified. And then how do we notify? Very simple. We have another cloud function that is listening to those changes. For example, in the chat notification, whenever there is a new chat, all that we do is listen to new chat messages coming in, and we send a notification. I'm gonna even zoom in a little bit so that you can see how little bit of code it is. It says DB collections, I loop through all the users, I look at all their data, I look at the device token, and then I send you a notification to everybody in that token. Very simple, very simple. So now let's continue. This is the amount of code that is needed for you to authenticate, let's say with Google, and get the token from that device and then send it over to Firestore. Look how little bit of code, 5 lines of code without the comments. 5 lines of code without the comments is all that you need to obtain the user's credentials, get the token from your device, and send it to Firestore with your user ID associated with it. So simple. Now, how do we execute jobs on a cron? I don't want to be there like clicking on something or creating like a cron job or creating like a script that executes frequently. We use Cloud Scheduler. Cloud Scheduler is a fully managed enterprise-grade scheduler that you can execute jobs on a timer. Let's say every 15 days, we run a job to clean all chat messages. And remember that who's typing field, that whenever I type, you see that, there's the person who's typing. What if when I'm typing, for example, if I go to the chat and then I'm typing here, you see that it says Roman is typing, right? And if I just close my application like this and I forget to clean the chat, that Roman is typing field is going to stay there forever unless I run a job that goes in that field and cleans it up. So let me show you. If I go back to the application and then I try to log in again and I go to that particular field, you will see that that field is gone. Now it's all clean and you don't have to clean it up. So let me show you. This is how I do it. So here in the Firestore, for example, you see in the chat, whenever I'm typing, you will see who's the person that is typing. But I want to clean that value, and I also want to clean old messages from 15 days ago. How do I do that? There is a cloud function that gets executed every 15 days, and then it cleans up the data. How do we do it? There is I call it chat data cleanup, is a cloud function that goes inside of the Firebase Cloud Firestore, looks at all the messages that are older than 15 days, and it does a batch delete. So there is a way that you can delete them in batch, and then you can just delete them all. So then you just perform a batch commit, and then it gets deleted. But who's calling it? This is how I call it. So you use Cloud Scheduler, and Cloud Scheduler is very easy to use. You create a job. You create a job, you specify the name of the job, you specify the frequency using the cron job format, the Unix format. You say every 15 days, call a function. Which function? You have to tell it what type of function it is. If it's an HTTP function, you give it the path to the cloud function, and then you say what type of function it is. Like, what is it gonna take? Is it gonna take a post or a get or something? Very easy to do. So, and then just like that, I forget that every 15 days, I have to go in and clean my data. I don't have to do that. Or whenever someone sends me a chat, I don't have to remember that I have to clean that value or something like that. A function already does it for me. Very simple. And even you can take a look at this one. This one actually executes every minute. Every minute there is a call, and I still do not exceed the 2 million executions per like a month. And I can have a cron job executing every minute, and I still don't exceed all my quotas within the free quota, so I can still be on the free tier. So very excited about that. And how do we engage with our users? Also, there is a service in Firebase Cloud Firestore that allows you to send free notifications. Let's say you want to run like a let's say like a contest, or you have a hackathon. You have like a very news flash, like something that you want to send to your users directly. You can actually send a notification manually. How do you do that? You can go to Cloud Firestore, and Cloud Firestore has something called also a cloud message, the cloud messaging compose notifier. So when you click here, there is a user interface that you can do to create campaigns that you can send to your users as notifications. All that you have to do is give it a title. For example, welcome everybody. And then we say, we have an event at GDG Live Pakistan, for example. And then you say, you can give it like an image, and then you have a type of, a notification name. You can just send that message completely free. And all your users, if you say, for example, you hit next here, you can say, just send it to all the users that have the GDG Lawrence Android application, and it will only send it to those people. Let's say I only want to send it to the iOS GDG Lawrence or the web version of GDG Lawrence. I would only send it to those. And then if you just hit scheduling and you say, I want to send it now, or I want to send it at a schedule, you can just select the day and just hit send. That's it. You can engage your users a lot if you do it this way. So it's so cool, and it's free. Take advantage of that. You don't have to pay for Firebase Cloud messaging. So that's what's cool about it. And look, I promise you, this is the only code that you need in Flutter to do the hookups so that you can do Fire messaging, so that you can do cloud messaging from a Flutter application. This is the only code that is required for Cloud Firestore messaging. This is the only code that you need to do to receive messages, not only in the background, but also even when your application is in the background and is hidden, you can get notifications. But also when your application comes into the foreground, that is the amount of code that is required to do a Cloud Fire messaging. Very simple. Again, this is a fully managed solution. So remember, try to leverage all the things and all the consoles that are available to you. And if you can see, I am in here, for example, right now in the Blaze As You Go, but you could actually be in the no-cost Spark tier for Firebase and the Google Cloud, and you don't have to pay anything. So it's no cost, $0 a month, and you can take advantage of all those things that I showed you. I am right now in the blaze, but I'm still not paying because I haven't exceeded the quota. But if I do, I would only pay like just a few cents, just if I exceed like certain quotas. And still, that's something that I can afford. And then because this is a fully managed solution, you saw me that I can not only manage it through the Google Cloud, through the Google Cloud Platforms console, but I can also manage it through Firebase. So I like the fact that I don't have to go inside of the server, open up a terminal, start executing scripts. All of that is through a managed solution. Very cool. All the resources in a single place. That's what I love about it. I don't have to go to multiple places. I just do that. So what is next for GDG Lawrence? What is next for us? We are going to leverage all the things that we did here in the cloud so that we can build other types of applications without making any changes. What do you think would be our next application? It would be doing Dialogflow and doing Google Assistant. So with the same backend that we just built, we can create like a Slack bot. We can create for the Google Assistant. We can just leverage exactly the same thing that we build on the cloud without changes whatsoever, just installing the Dialogflow. This is the current architecture, and this is what it looks like when we implement it using the Google Assistant. And that's it. Very little bit of changes, and then we're able to build a new type of application. So that's it, guys. This is it for me. I just wanted to invite you to download the GDG Lawrence application. It's right now available on the Google Play. It will be soon available in the App Store, and also, like I showed you, for the Google Assistant. And again, without further ado, this is me. Thank you so much, guys, for inviting me. These are some of my social media accounts that you can follow me through, and then you can keep tabs on all events that I am holding for you guys and to help you in your Flutter journey and also in your Google Cloud journey.
So first question we have Roman from Ariba. What's the difference between cloud functions and Firebase functions?
Yeah, so Firebase, there's actually no difference. And I'm glad that you actually brought that up because people get confused. Firebase functions is just that you manage cloud functions through Firebase, because Firebase gives you like the Firebase CLI and you can deploy your functions through Firebase. So Firebase functions is just like a syntactic sugar over cloud functions, but they're pretty much the same. You don't have to go to the Google Cloud console to manage it. You can do it all through Firebase. So I'm glad that you asked that question. Firebase functions are the same as cloud functions. It's just that you manage it through Firebase as opposed to going to the Google Cloud console. Thank you for your question.
Yeah, so we have another question from Samar Fatma, and she was asking, so the application is made in Flutter and the data which the application is getting in JSON format from Google Cloud Apps or services is then passed by Flutter and is shown on screen, right?
That is correct. Very simple. See, it's very simple. So you can right now, for example, use Firebase. Let's say you can store your data in Firebase, and then from Flutter, very simple, just using the HTTP package, and we just call those RESTful APIs in the cloud functions. You can also, of course, directly talk to Firebase if you want, but if you want to add like an extra layer of security and you want to manipulate your data a little better, it's better than that you use Flutter and you call the cloud functions directly, and then the cloud functions pulls the data from Firebase. You can do it like that. Even though it's one extra layer of indirection, but you can do more managing, more massaging of the data. But you got it right. That is exactly how we're doing it. Yes.
Great. And we have another question from Hamad. Is Flutter good for custom API calling backend?
Yes, of course. Like I use, for example, I'm showing you like Firebase and Google Cloud and Google Cloud functions, but with Flutter, you can create like your own backend served somewhere. For example, like at my job, we don't use Google Cloud, just to be honest with you. We use Python. We create a Flask server. We have like a Flask API. We have a Postgres database. And from Flutter, we call the Python Flask services, the RESTful APIs, and we pull the data from a Postgres database. So Flutter is good for anything. You can do like .NET, you can do .NET Web API, you can do Python Flask, you can do Laravel, you can do anything. So that you can do PHP. I did one Flutter application one time with PHP as well. So you can do anything. Flutter is great for not only your prototypes or small applications, but even production applications. So go ahead and do it the way you want it. Yes, you can do that.
Okay, great. And we have another question from Noman. Do we require Firebase admin access in app for these functions?
For those functions, no. I only added Firebase, let's say just like authentication for that, just so that I can like provide an extra layer of security. But you don't have to have the authentication to actually be able to access those things. The administration let's say level, yes, you do, in order to access that. It's not like open for everybody. You need to have Firebase admin access so that you can access those things. But I would invite you to create your own Firebase project so that you are the administrator of those resources, but then you can invite other people. But it's not like it's open for everybody. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think that answers it. So we have another question from Sachal. So for a beginner, if we learn Flutter and Firebase, is it enough to get an app up and running?
Oh, yes. I would
Yes.
invite you to even, I have, for example, a series of, I have a series of workshops that are very geared towards like beginners. Flutter, I definitely recommend it for like beginners, or if you want to build like a true like production application. I'm gonna drop in there, like in the chat, the link to all the workshops that I have, like beginner workshops, intermediate workshops, and advanced workshops, so that you, even with a little bit of Flutter knowledge, you can publish an application, because that's how cool Flutter is. It gives you like that productivity that you need to not only build like an MVP or a proof of concept, but if you're ready, you can make production applications as well. So please enjoy that. And yeah, let me know how your Flutter journey is. I hope that you publish an application in Flutter. I'm also all the time in Stack Overflow answering Flutter questions. If you have a specific question with your particular project, please drop it in Stack Overflow. And then you might get lucky and I pick up the question and I answer it for you. So again, if we are running out of time or something, that's what I say. Please follow me on Twitter or go to Stack Overflow, drop your question in there. And all the GDEs in the world are here to assist all of you with your Flutter issues. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.